going beyond. One thing I might like to add is hair going across the face, which we can do that a little later, just to add a little bit more detail of our own to it. Okay, let's see, we got most of these trunks down. And what am I going to do about this ear area? You know, I guess I could just embellish some kind of stuff going on back here. You know, I don't want to put that ear in there. Or do I? Wouldn't really make much sense, but maybe I'll just put like a hole. Well, maybe the smart thing to do would just be covered up with more hair. So I'm going to erase this. There. I'm going to fix this line right here. This is going to come and swoop down and go behind. This one kind of goes behind it. The hair kind of, this part goes behind the hair, and this one comes back, like wraps itself around. So behind here you're going to see, like, there's just going to be some, like, hair that wraps around. In the end, it won't really matter too much, because we're going to make this a lot more detailed. And I'll probably just make this all black. Now, since you can't see much detail going on in the hair back here, we're just going to make this black. And I think I will add a little bit of the neck. I'm going to draw these muscles in the neck here. Oops. And what do we do about the way the jawline fits? Do we want a skull as perched on top of a neck? That might be kind of cool, but I think we should blend it in a little bit more. Maybe kind of put a tendon that goes over the top of the neck bone like that, and draw some like vein type looks to it. Now we're getting to just pure plain old imagination here. Like, I think this is going to probably look better if it were all dark. Like there was a shadow coming down on top of it like this. So just do this and embellish a shadow coming down. Increase my brush size to cover more area faster. Sometimes filling it with that small little brush takes too long. Go back to 7 pixels. I want to make this a little bit more believable, so just going to kind of add some shading around here, touch it up, some spots. I'm not sure I like this thing here. Kind of looks a little too weird. So I'm going to go back and put this jawline in there. I don't want it to look like it's like some sort of zombie or anything, but I want it to look somewhat human. So if I put something like that in there, it looks a little crazy. So I'll just stick some holes and wounds and sores. One person that I like that does all these kind of open wounds is like Pushead or John Baisley. He's got this technique similar to this. I'm sure they use the regular pen though, but they're like drawing in these sores and wounds kind of just popping up all over their face or their body. It's pretty gross, but it's kind of a cool way to embellish on these types of illustrations. Okay, so back to the hair. Now you see all these big chunks of hair. I'm gonna make them look a little bit more like hair by drawing individual strands kind of within it. Like, not individual strands, but kind of subdivide the chunks into smaller ones. So I'm really being careful with my tablet on the pressure here. Making sure I get what I'm looking for. And the reason why I'm kind of subdividing it is because I've already separated them into chunks. So it'll look better when I start to subdivide it, and you'll start to see the 3D sort of space going on. It looks a little bit better. How much do you want to do? That's kind of a question that comes up when I'm working on this. How much detail do I want to put in that hair? Well, just enough, basically. I don't want to do too much. Then it just gets overworked and ugly, and not in a good way. But you want to put more lines where you want it to be darker, less lines where you want it to be lighter. So this, for example, my line comes out here, but then I want it to, this looks like it's a lighter part, so I'm going to lighten up my line work there and darken it down here, so it's got more of a flow. And I'm just going to embellish what I think might look cool back here. And see, this is where I'm talking about I'm going to put the hair that's going to go over top. Now this, I'm going to draw an actual flowing strand. And it kind of gets cut, like split ends. And I'll finish this side. This actually probably goes more like that. Now this doesn't matter so much. I'm gonna just try to make this side look cool, using this as a kind of a guide, like, oh, I got a strand here, maybe this is coming from this side, the back. Whoops. It kind of gets you know, another strand. I'm gonna get rid of this line. That line's kind of getting in the way. I don't want to have a hard line there. I'm gonna have some kind of hair poking down, and that's gonna create the edge. How are we looking here? It looks like there needs to be some more hair here. Now this is like I'm gonna just try to make it create a flow like this, and use these hair strands to help me out here. Looks like there can be another one like that. How about some that goes behind here like this? Remember to stay paying attention to your thick and thin, especially on the hair, because, you know, for example, right here underneath this part, you want to make it darker to kind of look like this is this piece of hair, you know, casting a shadow on top of this piece. And you'll see the kind of lines are a little bit wobbly, but that's okay. It's got like an organic hand-drawn type of feel to it anyway. So that's completely okay with us. No, I don't know what I'm doing there. Okay. It's almost like I'm creating little ribbons. Ribbons of hair, if you can kind of imagine them like that. It's like a ribbon slash like stalk, where it's like they have this 3D shape, and you can kind of add stuff around it like that. Like you're creating these lines that show this flow of hair. And it can kind of like work on top of each other like this, like it twists sometimes. Doesn't matter. It's like the hair goes in all sorts of different directions. You can kind of treat it like a tube that twists. Depends what you want. Okay. Add some more. Whoops. Sometimes my finger accidentally hits the little button on the stylus for right click, and that little window pops up. It's kind of annoying. Now I'm just going to keep fleshing out this hair. It's going to take a little bit longer, you know, so you can keep watching and see how I finish it up, or you know, you can just skip ahead to where I'm completing the line work and I start on the textures. But a lot of this is just very repetitive, kind of cathartic, where you just are in the zone in here with the lines. You're just creating what looks right, what feels good, using your, you know, gut feeling of 3D space. Keep adding these dots to kind of fill up some of this negative space in here. Now see, I'm going to add more lines because it's getting into a shadow area. I want to make sure that this looks... See, if you remember in here, all of that is in a shadow. All of this area. And I can... Right now it's looking all kind of one-dimensional. Sort of one-dimensional. So what I might do after I get all done with all of the different hair strands is go in and add more hair strands on a different layer to darken it up, to make it look like this piece here folds over top of this, all of this hair down here. It might look a little bit more realistic. Alright, up here we go. One thing I don't like about Wacom tablets sometimes, it's hard to keep a good curve consistently. It's harder with the tablet than with a real pen. Like if this is a real pen, I could probably get this real precise going on. And I could if I kept on doing it, but I'm going to kill myself if I had to do that. So I actually allowed the drawing to have a little bit of wiggle to it, a little bit of organic look. It's all part of the overall presentation. It looks good when it's all that way together. And that's one reason I like to do this over like a vector illustration, is because this is much faster. A vector illustration, tooling it out with the pen tool for hours does not seem like a very wise use of my time. Like I prefer, and it's not as enjoyable, like it's more like mathematical, you know, creating these sharp curves that are perfect. This way you can kind of feel like you're freehand drawing a little bit more. Notice I haven't really looked at the reference photo much at this point. I kind of got my basic shapes in, and now I'm just having fun making it look cool now. I'm going to make this part like kind of curling up like that. Like it's another split end ribbon type. And it looks like this strand kind of got stuck on her shoulder here. So that's why it's being split. Continue up, continue this split all the way up to the top. going down. Looks like there needs to be some hair here, so I'm going to make a big thick strand like that. I'll continue to go up, curl up. Okay, and just adding more hair to the mix where it looks empty. Went a little too far there. So you just got to keep in the zone. It takes a while. This is a good point where you'd be playing music, just getting lost in your work. Time just flies by. Before you know it, it's like the end of your work day, or you've got an appointment to be at, and you're in the middle of doing this. It's tough to leave it. You can't just say I'm done and leave it like this. You gotta finish it all. You see any parts that look like they are missing here? I think we're getting there. I'm gonna fill in the neck. See how the neck's like that? I want to fill in the rest of that space here. Actually, I think I might even add a little bit more hair coming in from the back here to kind of close it off. I think. Not sure. Well, I can't decide right now, so I'm going to go and do some more of these pits and fill out the space in the neck. Let's check where a collarbone is. Oh, it's right here. I want to make sure I embellish that. And these like hatched lines are good for just, like I said, helping with shading. You want to kind of show the direction of the surface going. You know, this part here comes down to this little pit in the neck. You know, it kind of goes back up for the muscle. You know, I imagine like a light source coming down from this side. This is kind of subtly creating shadows on here. Even though this piece is kind of globally illuminated, you know, there's not very much harsh shadows going on, except for this hair part, which I'll get to. But let's continue to create little skin imperfections. And this is our cover so far. And I believe we're pretty good to go as far as line work's concerned. I'm going to go save this again. Make a new layer on top. I like to do this because if I mess up, I don't want to have to erase and redo all out of this line work here. So let me zoom in, and I'm going to try to recreate this shadow area, and especially in here. Just going to draw more attention to the space, this shadows areas in here, and I might even want to make these all black. You know, I don't know. I'm going to try it and see what it looks like. But I'm going to do that with this thin line. Just go ahead and darken some of these areas. Because in the end, these are all just going to be suggestions of hair. So it doesn't matter if it gets a little bit funky, a little bit messy, because I'm going to actually, this whole thing is going to get a little dirty and distressed when it's all said and done. So some of these kind of shaky lines will actually not be that big of a deal. Actually, I can probably afford to just go make this part black. Really get in there with the black. It's always scary putting down large areas of black. Ask any illustrator. They really hate that. It's like especially in traditional media where you're actually putting ink down, you're like really making a commitment by throwing down that much ink in one general vicinity, and you have to commit to it. Once you put it down, you can't take it out. Unfortunately, with Photoshop, you can just press Ctrl Z, but still, even then, I'm hesitant to lay down a large area of black unless I'm confident it's going to look really good. So sometimes you just need to do it and accept it. And I like how this is looking here. It's like the hair is going back, receding into the darkness. That's very cool. I'm gonna go ahead and make my brush fatter. Cover up some more of the space here. just keep shading with the by adding more lines and where it's supposed to be, where you want it to be darker. Just gonna keep drawing these lines, drawing the lines, and eventually I'm gonna just stop the recording here and show you like what would happen in a couple hours of drawing. Well, maybe not a couple of hours of drawing, but I'll just skip ahead so you don't have to see me do all of this boring work. Okay, we're gonna finish fleshing out this hair and making sure this is all good. 5 pixels. You'll see I'm just kind of making it look like the other side a little bit more. And I'm just going to actually fast forward. this is all pretty redundant, so I'm going to fast forward until this is done. So I'm just going to pause my recording here. We're going to pick back up once this line art is finished, and we're ready to start putting together the textures, colors, and the rest of the album cover. So stay tuned.